All right, everybody. My next guest is an Emmy Award winning comedian and comedy writer who has established himself as one of the leading voices of cutting edge humor in late night television. He was a writer for NBC's famed SNL, as well as the Showbiz Show with David Spade and the 2020 Writers Guild Awards, just to name a few. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Hugh Fink. Hugh, how are you, sir?
I'm good. It's an honor to be here, Don.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you on the show. You've been around for a long time. I remember watching you on like the Rodney Dangerfield thing, and you just been around forever. And I seen you like on TV. You've been on everything, Comedy Central, Tough Crowd. You've kind of done it all through the comedy world there.
Thank you. I came up during a rich time of stand-up, when stand-up comedians still treated it kind of as an art form instead of just a profession.
Right.
And then obviously I segued into writing and producing for television, but stand-up's still my first love. And I always tell people, when they go, "What do you do?" I go, "I'm a comedian," even though I don't go on stage nearly as much as I used to.
Right. Yeah. Because you're a multi-talented guy. You're a writer, producer, musician, violinist, and comedian. But it all comes down to the writing. Writing's the backbone of it all. Would you say?
I would say, and I've been, especially lately, getting into watching more dramas, say dramatic series for television and even movies. And I really think, Don, that the backbone of great drama is writing. In other words, there could be a mediocre drama and you have great actors, you'll elicit tears or emotion. But what separates, an okay drama from a great one? It's the writing. It's totally the writing. So I'm a huge believer and fan of anyone who can put pen to paper in a clever way.
I think that's the key, like you said, with any kind of art form. When it comes down to it, is even with music, it's all in the writing. Yeah, I mean, there's great improv and all of that, and some people are really great off the cuff or crowd work, but even then, there's a sense of writing in there. I mean, how much is really spontaneous?
That's exactly right. I think with comedy, particularly, the fun is making your audience think that it's improvised and off the cuff, but more times than not, some of the most quotable, greatest comedy moments are completely scripted. It's fun for the audience to go, "Wow, I can't believe he made that up in the moment." It's like, okay, whatever.
From there, it was off to Istanbul, Turkey, which is an amazing country because, I admire any nation where no matter what restaurant you eat in, they play that same one song in the background. It never ends.
Now you came up through the 90s, I'd say, or you're in 80s?
Yeah, I mean, by the 90s, I was starting to actually get my major career credits, but I started stand-up in the 80s, like at the tail end of the boom, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
And, growing up in Indiana, then moving to New York City for college, and then coming to Los Angeles to do stand-up.
And it's always cool, to talk to a guy who's kind of been there from the 80s, like you said, the boom, right, the tail end through now, because you've seen a comedy really evolve. Some for the better, some for the worse. Like you were there through the Dice Clay, who could never exist in this era now. So you've been there through when comedy was completely free. After Lenny Bruce, then all of a sudden it was like the gates were open, anything goes. Now you listen to Dice, and you, even me, who I grew up loving Dice, but now you kind of cringe a little bit. Go, "Oh my God, how did he get away with that?"
And they try to embarrass you, like when you're with your girlfriend. They'll come over right in front of her face, and they'll, "Would you like to buy a flower for the lady?" Hey, let me tell you something. I fucked this lady 4 times already today, all right? Catch me early evenings, you fucking chink bastard. You slanty-eyed cocksucker, what you are. They're all the same, jabs, chinks. It's all the same shit.
And it's so funny you mentioned him, Don, because just earlier today, before I'm doing this interview with you, I did basically a live comedy show on Zoom for a major financial group in New York City. And as part of the show, they paid Dice to do one of those cameo videos.
Oh,
And it was just such a trip to see Dice basically doing Dice Man from, 30 years ago, being, irreverent, swearing profusely. And so it made me sort of, for me, it's kind of bittersweet to watch him do that.
This is Dicey Dice, twice as nice, nicey nice. Look at this, I even put on the Christmas lights. I do a whole thing. Here, look, I'll give you the whole package. Look at this. You think I care?
Right.
But I think your summation of where my comedy career fit in terms of the times was very accurate, in terms of seeing a lot of people who, changed the business of comedy and the art of comedy I started with or came up with, for sure.
And do you think comedy, because now obviously this past year with the pandemic and the protests and all of these things, and the last few years we've had this kind of cancel culture where, and I think some of it is for the good, right? There is some things we shouldn't say and act on and joke about, I guess. But do you think at the same time, which, when you're talking about free speech or being funny or just, saying things that are wrong deliberately to get a reaction, do you think it's better or worse now, like for new comedians?
I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago, where you said that I've seen comedy evolve, and you said for the better and worse. You nailed it. It's like, sadly done, I think some aspects of comedy have devolved. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean just the audience. I mean comedians themselves, that there doesn't seem to be as much care about taking pride in writing your material and perfecting it. It's much more of the school of, I just have ideas and I'm going to go up and wing it and be in the moment. And that doesn't really appeal to me as much as a stand-up who really works on their craft, right? And takes a story or a joke or a bit and hones it until it's great.
Right.
So that's an issue I have. Then in terms of what's happened with audiences, obviously there's problems because colleges used to be thought of as the greatest place for comedians to be free and uncensored. Now, a lot of college campuses, it's the opposite, right?
They'll silence you.
Right. You have to be really careful. If you say the wrong thing, a couple students can protest and it can hurt your career.
Like if my daughter Sally was trans, I'd be fine with it. That's not how they think. Just like you guys up here think that there's 40 genders. I'm not going to judge you, baby. That's the way they think.
You know you're on right? The most liberal college.
I do think it's a mixed bag. It's not all bad and it's not all good.
Yeah, because it feels like if you're a comedian, like you said, and you're on a college campus, or even if you're in a club and you offend somebody, they don't just complain to the owner anymore of the club. Now it's going viral, and it's not just your that one show. It could be your whole career, and we've seen a lot of comedians, have that happen to them.
I'm horrified, and I'm sorry. And I'm embarrassed.
I am so sad, and I am so angry.
I do apologize to the vice president.
I made a mistake, I fucked up, and I'm sorry if I duped you as well.
I'm not perfect. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I am or claim to be in any way, shape, or form.
I wanted to come on here and publicly say that I am so sorry, for everything. I just get bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored.
You're right. It used to be thought of that a comedy club or a comedy show is a safe place for free speech, right? Because you're not a news journalist reporting facts. You're a comedian being funny. And if someone took it the wrong way, they could confront you after the show. As you said, they could fill out a comment card at the comedy club. Right. They didn't have social media. They didn't have a way to get hundreds of thousands of people to see your bit or quote you and have other people go, I don't know who the comic is and I've never seen that show, but I think that's offensive and I'm going to join you. And that sucks. And he shouldn't be allowed to say that. So of course it is a bad thing. I am a believer in, it's a free marketplace, right? So if you're a comedian and an audience decides not to buy your tickets, well, that's their right. They don't have to support you. That's a different issue, though, than sort of this mass group of people ganging up on you when you can't even defend yourself.
Right. And a lot of times too, like when things start to go viral, the joke or the premise gets taken out of context, and you know, what could be, you know, let's just say a rape joke or a racist joke or something like that, that could be in a character, or who knows, maybe they don't publish the punchline, or the punchline's offensive. So it's just hard to equate that into words on, you know, versus the delivery.
You're right. So, you know, in 1998, I wrote a sketch for Saturday Night Live, and I'm a Jewish writer on the show, and I wrote a bit about Hanukkah. And on Monday morning, my sketch was being protested by the Anti-Defamation League. And it was crazy to me because they were saying that my sketch was anti-Semitic and that it should be banned from television. And of course, I'm proud of my Jewishness. I wrote it. I'm Jewish. And they didn't even care who wrote it. And nor, as you said, did they get the context that I was doing satire. I was making fun of bigotry and anti-Semitism. But they just took it as face value, which if you do that, you would ruin a lot of comedy.
And yeah, I think too, Saturday Night Live's a perfect example of that, because through the years that they've never held back, that they kind of, you know, go straight at pop culture, and and you know, they used to be more, you know, wider spectrum, you know. But let's get into this with SNL. When were you writing on that?
So
show?
I started. Here's the best way to say it, Don. I started and left with Will Ferrell. So
Nice.
I started in 1995 when they brought in a bunch of new writers, including me, Adam McKay, you know, who's gone on to become a major director, Oscar-winning screenwriter.
Yeah.
Tim Herlihy wrote all of Adam Sandler movies. And then I left in 2002 at the same time that Will left. So I was there 7 years.
So you did the whole duration with Will.
With Will.
And I remember that first year too, because that was like almost the whole cast was new too.
It was almost all new people. That's right.
Yeah. Wow. So which sketches did you write any notable, like, well, what share a few with us?
I think my most notable ones are, there's a sketch I wrote, I don't know if you remember, called Stevie Nicks Fajita Roundup, a fictitious Mexican restaurant run by Stevie Nicks where she sang Fleetwood Mac songs about being on coke. So that sketch has become a cult following. In fact, Vulture magazine or Decider did an article about it a few months ago. You can look it up.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. I wrote all of Norm Macdonald's Larry King's.
One of the great figures of the 20th century has to be James Brolin. The more I think about it, the more I love chicken. A great, great meat.
People love those.
Oh, yeah.
Where we just bashed Larry for being this senile, pretentious guy. Then while I was there, Don, I wrote more monologues than any writer during those 7 years. So when Robert Downey Jr. got out of jail, I wrote his monologue.
It wouldn't be a summer without hosting a barbecue. Yeah. Here's me picking up a little prescription from my pharmacist.
Britney Spears, when she was like 15 years old, the joke about her having, the monologue was about her having fake boobs and lip syncing.
Oh yeah, there's one more. Oh yeah, the one about my boobs being fake. That is just ridiculous. I mean, come on. I'm 18 and I'm still growing, you know?
I wrote that. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, Saturday Night Live is such a staple, but now it's getting a lot of pushback from a lot of people now, saying that it's not as funny as it was, and that it's too political, slanted on one direction. What's your take on SNL today?
My take is that comedy, more than music and other art forms, is extremely temporal and linked to the moment we're in. And so the moment we're in now, Lorne Michaels is pretty brilliant about knowing who his bread and butter audience is. And so in my estimation, he's giving his core SNL fans what they want. I don't mean old fans who've been watching the show since the 70s. I mean younger people who want to see their pop culture, idols on the show and all their music stars. And so, like any year, it can be hit or miss. I think that I was blessed to work with a brilliant cast, right? I had, during my years, Will Ferrell, Maya Rudolph, Norm Macdonald, Daryl Hammond, Tracy Morgan. These are heavyweights, right?
That's one of the best seasons.
Molly Shannon, Sherry O'Terry. So not every year of SNL is blessed with an A-list cast like I had.
Right.
But it does go in cycles, because since I left the show, there's been some years where the cast is really impressive at the show, but then those people leave. And I know you're a sports fan. It's like when a baseball team has to rebuild. They suddenly are calling up people from the minors. It may take a while before you get the great team assembled.
Right on. Yeah, and another thing you hear a lot about with the Saturday Night Live, and I assume I know a lot of the cast members have said this, and I'm assuming the writers as well, is the grind of coming up with these sketches week in and week out. It can be grueling. What's that like? Walk me through a little bit of a normal week with.
Right. So what makes it grueling psychologically is that you're only as good as your last sketch that succeeded, and the pressure is tremendous. So if you have a great week, meaning one or two sketches that you wrote gets on the air and they're successful, when you come in Monday morning, you're back to square one. No one's giving you credit for those sketches you wrote. And now you got to do it all over again. And because there's so many writers on the show and not that many sketches that get on the air, your chances of getting anything on the air is not high.
Right.
So you can get in a slump like a baseball player where you go several shows in a row where none of your material is being used. And so it's devastating. On the other hand, you could get on a roll where every week you're getting something on, then you're on a high, but it doesn't last forever. So that's the roller coaster of being on the show. And it's why I was there 7 years. That's really twice as long as most writers even stay at the show.
Yeah, that is a long tenure. And plus, like you said, you have to have your confidence level has to be high, because you have to, and motivation, because it could easily, if you go a couple of weeks dry, you might start to self-doubt and all that kind of stuff might sink in.
Totally.
And that gets into now your do's and don'ts that you got going on here. You kind of have a online class for writing sketches.
There's two ways to win an Emmy Award. You can be a talented writer on a hit show that wins the award, or you can buy it on eBay, like I did. Regardless, I worked at Saturday Night Live alongside Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Tracy Morgan, Maya Rudolph, Norm Macdonald. And now I'm going to teach you sketch writing. So I hope you sign up. And if you actually thought that I bought this on eBay, you should definitely sign up for my class. Came about during the pandemic where I had time on my hands, can't work on TV shows as I normally do. So I thought, wow, you know what? I would love to teach TV sketch writing. I have a lot to say and I'm be good at it. So I started doing it over the summer really successfully. So right now I've got 2 classes going for beginners and for more advanced. And when I say beginners, it could be someone who's never written anything, or it could be someone who's, dabbled in stand-up comedy or playwriting or whatever. But it's really sort of a practical, but really insightful course on how to write sketches, and not just for your own enjoyment, but to write sketches that will get you noticed, whether if you're doing viral videos or you want to write for television like Saturday Night Live. And of course, the selling point is that I'm teaching it. So I limit how many people are in each class. So you're getting personal feedback from me. You're bringing in material. You're sharing it with me in the class. And I'm showing a lot of sketches from Chappelle Show, Key and Peele, SNL as a teaching tool. So we analyze it. And I explain, why did this work? Why didn't this work? So the comments from my students are that it's been incredibly fun and really insightful.
Wow. Yeah, that's some priceless stuff for anyone to kind of get almost a one-on-one lesson from you in doing this. A guy who's, written for, Saturday Night Live, but so many other things, award shows, all kinds of stuff. So, and I like your one thing you're telling me that, like, in the do's and don'ts kind of promo, you mentioned that, actors are waiting for a scene, but there's a difference between a scene and a sketch.
Totally. A scene is a term, it's part of a story, right? Whether it's a play or a novel, it's something that happens that furthers the action or resolves. Well, in comedy sketches, we don't care about a story. You have 3 minutes, whatever, to make people laugh their asses off. So you've got to get them hooked really fast. You can end it really abruptly. No one cares. It's just about being as funny as you can in those few minutes, which is very different than a scene of like a Woody Allen movie or a Woody Allen or anything like that. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to premises, for you, is there anything off the table? Or is it just...
There's nothing. Nothing is off the table. But as I've said, Don, if you're going to joke about the Holocaust, cancer, people who are mentally challenged, then you damn well be better clever about it. Because if you're not 5 times as clever, people are going to take it the wrong way and not like it. So no, any subject I'm fine with using for comedy, but the stakes rise a lot if you pick a subject like those.
Yeah, and you know what, too? Sometimes you see like newer comedians, they want to come out of the gate and be edgy, and they try to use the risque stuff, but they're not there yet. And to me, it just teeters on bad taste. And you know what I mean? Like
I do.
But then when you see it done right, when you see somebody do a really touchy subject, but pull it through, there's like, wow, you got to tip the cap to that one because,
Totally agree. Well, I'll give you an example, like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr and Louis C.K. These are masters of their craft, right? But if those guys get booed for a joke, well, then imagine some schmuck at a comedy club, who's not well-known, who's not good, who's not developed. They don't have a chance. And that shows you how hard it is to do a premise that's off-putting.
Yeah,
you just have to handle it really well.
Yeah, my advice to young comics is just don't go edgy right away. just
right.
Work on other material, get your joke writing skills down.
Yeah.
And then kind of graduate into that stuff. And I think that would go with sketches as well.
It does go with sketches. And if you don't mind, Don, I want to mention to people that if you want to take my class, there's still a few spots left for just go to hughfink.com, my name, and click classes, and you can sign up.
Beautiful. Put that down right here. It'll be in the lower third. and I'll also put the link in the body, the info part of the YouTube as well for
That's great. And right now I'm doing for your show and other VIPs a discount. If they put in Hugh Fink, letter U, F-I-N-K, you get a little discount for the class. So
excellent. We much appreciate that. Thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time to talk to us. Do we tackle everything you wanted?
Last thing I'm going to tell your listeners first, I'm about to release my new song parody.
Yes, the song.
Viral. So I will say, since you're from where you are, I've taken Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Perfect.
And it's "We Didn't Stop the Virus." And it's a year-end look at 2020 and all the horrible things that have happened. And it's going to be really hot and funny. And if people just go on YouTube, look up "We Didn't Stop the Virus," you're going to find it.
Excellent. We're going to play it right now. We have it right here. It's going to be right here. It goes. Right.
It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse.
Tucker Limbaugh, Kellyanne, Fox News, OAN, Lou Dobbs, and Graham thought COVID was a joke. Mary Trump wrote a book calling Uncle Don a crook. Michael Flynn, Roger Stoning Jr., who snorts coke.
The director of national intelligence said it. And by the way, more importantly, the FBI said it. And I don't say that because I think the FBI has more.
Ted Cruz on a plane, Sayonara, Herman Cain, Princess Ivanka's husband's Willy Wonka. Kim Guilfoyle loves to scream, that connection was obscene. Blame it all on Beijing, Lindsay looks like Tiger King. We didn't stop the virus, we rejected science, now your grandma's dying. We didn't stop the virus, it just kept on spreading at those Jewish weddings. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, Kayleigh McEnany, Scary Murder Hornets, Jordan Doc, WAP dance on TikTok. BLM arrest the cops, tear gas for this photo op entitled Racist Karens. Tubin showed his cock. Ghislaine Maxwell, Weinstein in a prison cell. QAnon sucks ass. So does Rogan's dumb podcast. Hamilton on Disney Plus. Next AM, what the fuck? R.I.P. RBG, guilty plea from Aunt Becky. We didn't stop the virus. We can't stop your coughing. We're too busy golfing. We didn't stop the virus. While the world's contagious, we put kids in cages. Anti-vaxxers out, boys. Bill Barr was a hemorrhoid. This weird lady, lawsuits flop. 4 seasons next to dildo shops. Sturgis, South Dakota bikes, driving up the COVID spikes. POTUS sucks at drinking water. Rudy caught with Borat's daughter.
They're nice.
Pence serves his master, civil rights disaster. J-Lo sexy halftime show. Hey, remember these a-holes. Ellen Show, staff abuse. Elon Musk, what a douche. President Kanye, what else do I have to say? We didn't stop the virus. We found it unconcerning. Now our kids are learning. We didn't stop the virus. Death rate stopped declining because of indoor dining. No shows on Broadway, 2 titles for LA. Baby Yoda, Chia Pets, Redhead Goddess, into chess. What's up with Kim Jong-un? Beirut goes kaboom. Unemployment backup plan, selling nudes on OnlyFans. All cap tweets, bankruptcies, can't destroy democracy. Donald lost, Biden won. Bring on 2021. We didn't stop the virus. Should have been investing in more rapid testing. We didn't stop the virus. It was bad for business, now we can't have Christmas. We didn't stop the virus. Will it go on and on and on and on? We didn't stop the virus. Will it go on and on and on and on and on and on and on?
Well, thanks again. Everyone can the U's and Don'ts. Is that what it's called? U's and Don'ts for the class?
Yeah, well, the name of I have 2 classes. One's called Intro to Sketch Writing. The other is Advanced Sketch Writing. But you're right, Don. They do include my Hughes and Don'ts of sketch writing.
Yes, perfect. And that's at
Hughley.com.
Thank you so much, Hugh. I really appreciate this. Like I said, I've been keeping up with you, watching you through the years. Back in the Rodney special all the way through till now. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and all the best to you in 2021, and have a great Hanukkah and everything else that's going on, my friend.
Same to you. You did a great job. I love your show.
Oh, thank you. You rock, man.
Hold the phone, stop the presses. I have a very important announcement to make. Don Sills Show, put up, shut up, and stand up on Gov's radio may be the best thing to prevent COVID since the N95 mask. Other things it's better than sliced bread, the clapper, actual sex. And that's saying a lot. Listen to us or be burned at the stake! I'm only kidding.